Okay, welcome back to the special council meeting. Date is April 23rd. The time is 8 p.m. We've had our closed portion of the meeting. We did take a recess and now we'll report out from our closed meeting of April 15th. And that was a motion that was voted on 3-1 with Councillor Abbott opposed, and the motion was approved by council. And the following was approved. The council requested support from the Provincial Ministry of Municipal Affairs to address the current and historic governance issues. The province of British Columbia engaged the former Kamloops CAO, Randy Deal, to review issues and prepare recommendations. A copy of the report is available on the village website. In response to the report, the council has resolved to adopt the following action plan. Review, receive, and approve the 2024 audit by June 30th, 2025. Publish the 2025 annual report by June 30th, 2025. Update the building bylaw and zoning bylaw and council meeting procedures bylaw, procurement policy, respectful workplace policy, communications policy, and the council code of conduct bylaw, and adopt a whistleblower policy based on current legislation and best practices. Train an accredited meeting minute taker. Number 5, should have numbered these earlier, but number 5 is work with staff on an annual strategic plan, include performance measurement in the annual report. Item 6, participate in council training and professional development, including A, Union of British Columbia Municipalities elected training sessions, B, Local Government Leadership Academy elected training sessions, C, in-person training on meeting procedures, budgeting, accountability, privacy, and optimal relations with First Nations, D, annual respectful workplace, bullying and harassment seminar, E, code of conduct training in relation to a new code of conduct, affirm. Number 7, affirm the one employee policy in accordance with the provincial statutes and focus on policies and bylaws while leaving administration, operations, and management to the qualified staff. 8, enforce preparation and release of council agenda attachments by Friday prior to each regular council meeting. 9, honor and comply with the new code of conduct bylaw and respectful workplace policy. 10, reinforce the commitment to providing rational, good faith, written reasons for major policy decisions, including by considering professional staff and other reports to council on policy matters. This motion will be posted on the village website and distributed. As mentioned, the municipal advisors report will also be published. So thank you with that. With that, we'll move to the adoption. Yeah,
could I just mention a couple of things? The actual report from the municipal advisor came on, I think it was August 31st of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And a number of these recommendations I think have taken place or are in progress. So it's looks like a very daunting list, but things that are caught my eye as we were going through were the procurement policy, training of an accredited minute taker, is we have here, affirming the one employee model. We have hired the CAO in September of 2023 as a one employee, enforcing the preparation and release of council agenda. I think the agenda has been coming out regularly. I think there was some delay previously, but I think in the last many months, there hasn't been delay in those things. So it's just to indicate it's a bit less daunting a list than it is, but it certainly is a very challenging list.
Okay. All right.
Can I say something as well?
Yeah, Councillor Abbott.
We all get a chance to speak. As pointed out, that I was the one that voted against this. There's a few reasons. The main reason is I think this council will do a lot better in what little time we have left to focus on projects and getting stuff done. And at this stage, to go back to this ongoing discussion we used to have about changing bylaws and trying to change various other things is unnecessary and a waste of our time. Secondly, there's a whole lot of unrealistic expectations in there. that I don't think we're going to meet. I think it's over promising, and I expect we're going to under deliver. So I just have to want to make those comments, and yeah, let's just move on.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll move to adopt the agenda. We have a motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
Second.
Okay, any amendments, discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, with that, we'll go to the public participation, and this is the 2-minute version or questions or comments. Anyone in the gallery like to get up and speak before we go to online members? No? Anyone online like to speak and make a comment or question?
Nobody there.
No.
Okay.
Okay, we'll pass it over to our delegation. Mary Brown, thank you very much for coming out.
Okay. I've got my stopwatch going. I hope you guys had a chance to have a look at the delegation request form and the auxiliary paper EPCD. Okay. So I start. Thanks very much for hearing us. I'm Mary Brown. I'm currently the Emergency Support Services Director for the village. And I've brought with me Rule Court, who is an ESS volunteer. This is my ask tonight. I would like to restructure the ESS and the EPC positions. As you know, we haven't had an EPC since May of last year. And there are some gaping holes that I have filled in the last year. I filled for Phil. And they're on the piece of the extra paper. For the people online, it's things like, what have I done that are,
Could you just, EPC is the Emergency Programs Coordinator for
Correct.
people who would.
There are two acronyms that are exactly the same. EPC is Emergency Programs Coordinator, but there's also the Emergency Programs Committee.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have registered Lions Bay as an ERA community, which means in the case of a disaster, we can get money electronically from the province. I manage Alertable, and I recruit new members who can post messages. We currently have 3 people who can do that. I have sorted and inventoried the ESS supplies. I manage the CCAN, which Phil bought, but has condensation problems. So currently when you walk in there, it rains on you. With the help of Leslie Noland, she and I have written 2 grant applications for a total of 65,000 K. We currently have 25,000 K in the bank, and we just sent in our application for $40,000 for emergency route planning, which means we can hire somebody who does this full time. We can finally get that, which is very, very needed. And also in that 65,000 would be monies to pay for public education, because a plan is no good if we don't have public buy-in. I have finished up a memorandum, excuse me, of understanding with Bowen Island Emergency Services. And as a matter of fact, I was over there today over on Bowen Island doing a program with them. I obtained permission from Vancouver School District to use Lions Bay, thank you, Lions Bay School as an emergency building. We used to be able to do that and something happened. Well, we can now do that again. I don't know what happened, and I don't really care what happened, but we now, if Broughton Hall goes down, we can use Lions Bay School as an emergency building. I bought a charging cage for the EOC for laptops and tablets. Unfortunately, the laptops and tablets are outdated. The 25,000 that we got for just 3 weeks ago, that grant also is for buying new laptops and tablets that will connect seamlessly with the internet, which was one of the problems December 14th. We couldn't connect to the internet. Not very helpful. I hope to buy a key depot for ESS. Carl. I've ordered dehydrated food supplies and promotional materials that we were throwing out food that was 35 years old. We now have a stock of food for 300 people for 30 days, and the shelf life is 30 years. I've completed 3.5 credits toward the associate certificate in emergency management through GIBC. It's a 15 credit course, so I'm about a fifth of the way there. Oh, well. I've completed the psychological first aid training with HEMBC for disaster psychosocial services. And I've taken cultural sensitivity training on Bowen Island. I rewrote the community emergency plan. Our current emergency plan is a 40-page, well, if you need to get to sleep quickly, to pull that out. But I did a quickie version. This is based on the template that is used in SLRD. So this can be put up on the website. It hasn't been done yet because there's nobody to do that, because we don't have an EPC. However, we do have a community emergency plan that's ready to be posted. And I rewrote the ESS plan with an internal and external documents to those two versions. I have in mind things that I would like to do if I was made to be interim or acting EPC, because these are certainly not duties that are to be carried out by an ESSD. I would like to follow up on an memorandum of understanding with North Shore Emergency Management. I'd like to get those new tablets and laptops internet ready. I'd like to have our community evacuation plan and the ESS plan posted up on the website so that everybody can see them. And this is the biggie, I think. We have about $135,000 worth of grant money sitting in the emergency fund. There is $65,000 for the new generation 911 plan. There's $25,000 for cultural sensitivity training. There's the $25,000 we were just granted for ESS supplies and equipment. And hopefully, fingers crossed, $40,000 for the evacuation route plan and public education. My question is, who the heck is going to manage $135,000 worth of money? Well, an EPC could. So this is why I'm asking that council consider appointing me as interim or acting EPC until such time as a fully qualified EPC is hired. Although I did notice that the posting has been taken down, so the ask isn't even out there. I would like to be able to manage the $135,000 in grant money. Just as an aside, I have managed Dr. Ross Brown Inc. That corporation is a multi-million-dollar corporation for over 20 years, so I think I can handle 135. I've talked to Joe and said, you know, if this comes to be, I can always give him monthly reports as, you know, the ins and outs of that money. I would like to have Rural Court assume the role of assistant of ESS director. He's very big on training. He was in the Navy. He's a project manager for years and years. He's keen. He has a pulse and a 37-degree body. So, yay. This is my ask of council. And I also request that some decision is made by the end of the month so that we can get on with doing what we need to do. You may also ask, why the heck did I do all of these things if I wasn't being paid for it? Because it needed to be done. Because it needed to be done. So I have on my clock 2 minutes for questions.
I'm glad you mentioned the interim part there, because when we first spoke about this, you kind of stressed that. And it wasn't in the delegation, so council spoke earlier, we weren't sure about that. I think there's flux as to how emergency management is going to happen both within the village and around us at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, that restructured plan, and if we can call it interim, that makes it a lot easier to do. And then it gives us the flexibility to change or evolve or adapt as we need to.
Even if we're under the umbrella of North Shore Emergency Management, we still need somebody to manage within the village.
Yes, so we have to manage our business in the village, and as I pointed out, I've said before, is, there's going to be a first response that happens from within the village. Because whoever outside organisation is going to help us, or as a real organisation meant to look after us, they could be stuck in the wrong side of the slide, they're going to take time to get here, so we have to be able to do that ourselves. That's key to having you guys, absolutely. The one thing you didn't say that you want to do, and I was waiting for, is you want to call an EPC meeting, so we can give it, you can chair it, because that's the EPC's job, and we haven't had one, and we're overdue, and I think it's 3 per year minimum. I don't know if we've achieved that.
This is absolutely correct.
Okay.
There's been no one to do it.
You talked about the MOUs with Bowen Island. I understand we also have an MOU with District of North Vancouver. I don't know.
No, we didn't. North Vancouver,
Most your emergency management.
no, we do not. We don't have a written memorandum of understanding with North Shore Emergency Management. Phil did a lot of talking with them, but I would like to see something on paper.
You might want to reach out. I think Emily Dickin, you might want to reach out to her.
Yes.
She had passed along that we in fact do have one. And perhaps it's not formal, don't know, but I think what she was referring to was that they would be available to help us, and maybe we could leverage off some of their documents and applications and things like that. And
Which is exactly what happened December 14th, when we couldn't connect to Arrow.
yeah,
So they've definitely allowed us in the past to participate in the training sessions and things like that.
Yes,
But you're saying they've done that without an agreement?
yes.
I always thought we had one. And,
Formal.
I've connected Emily with Ross, so you might want to
Yeah,
close the loop on that. Just
yeah, I know Emily well. so
Yeah.
We'll chat.
great. Council Brown?
sorry,
Go ahead.
before you get one last thing. So your desire for the end of the month is probably going to have to wait at least a week. The next council meeting is the 6th of May. So if you made that the target, give you an
Yes.
answer?
Yes,
It might be
I'm sorry,
achievable.
that is, I was thinking about that because I thought this delegation was going to go last meeting, but it got bumped. So yes, that would make sense to also bump that ask forward.
Right, yeah, things got delayed. I'm always incredibly impressed with the emergency social service, the network on like the North Shore and how much people are willing to help out each other. It's just, anything that I've been involved in has been really impressive. So this sounds terrific. One of the things the mayor read out earlier was about the information from the municipal advisor and sort of affirming the one employee model and so on. So the CAO technically would be the primary contact, is my understanding. So council will certainly will be looking for his recommendation, and I know that you've talked to him, and that he's, I think, completely supportive of this concept, right? So anyway, so we'll certainly discuss that, and this sounds tremendous.
There's another area, the Metro Board passed a resolution to undertake a case study on supporting the smaller villages in emergency response and utilizing and leveraging off of some of their resources, primarily the staff. As we know, it's a large organization, so that is something that the CAOs are supposed to work with Metro, and that was passed about probably 6 weeks ago. So that might be something too that you could be involved in.
Yeah, and we saw that December 14th when Metro did come in, because when we struck up an EOC, we just don't have the people power to slot people into all of into the org chart.
Sure.
So, yeah, we absolutely are just too small to strike an EOC ourselves.
If you were to work with Ross and get that moving, because I think Metro, they have an abundance of staff there. They probably just need us to maybe encourage them to get moving on it.
Right.
Yeah, and that might integrate with what you're putting forward somewhat.
Do you want to make a directive to staff?
Sure, we could, well, I guess we'll refer this, as Councillor Broughton said, this is sort of the one employee model. Staff gives the recommendations forward. You've been kind enough to put all this work in. Staff reviews it, comes back, and we're speaking about the next council meeting, I think, or just after the end of the month. So do we have a motion to refer this to staff and come back to us prior to the
With
next council meeting?
recommendation.
Well, we should ask staff to come back to us by the May 6th meeting.
With a
With
recommendation for the
the
meeting?
recommendation.
With the recommendation.
Okay, do we have a mover for that?
I'll move it.
Second?
All second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried. Were we going to hear from you all as
Yes.
well, or?
Just before roll call, Mary, I just would like to express my gratitude and for everything that you've done, our appreciation. You are a pinnacle here, and I don't know what we would have done without you over the past few years. So thank you very, very much for all your hard work.
Thank you, Jamie. Great.
Thank you.
Mr. Report.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, councillors, thank you for inviting me here. I would be delighted to be considered for the ESS director in the Navy in the Netherlands. I know fire drills, I know emergency situations, what was part of my training, and I think that I can come up with a very concise way to set up a kind of an emergency response team here, based on a very small core of people that are dedicated, know exactly what's going on, and using the volunteers as required. The plan for this is to make sure that that core people understand all the different facets of this ESS, and just use the volunteers as they come when we go to do our trainings once or twice a year to set up a reception center or a launching center if required. So I've been working on some of the plans that I shared with Mary on this one, and I think that we'll be able just to see share the results with it by the end of the year, if you allow me just to proceed with this kind of plan.
Great, thank you very much for that.
And he speaks about 15 languages.
That's
So
right.
anyone who comes.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you, council.
Okay, okay, with that, we'll move to item number 7, the approval of the March 18th, 2025 minutes. Page 6, do we have a motion to approve? Second?
Yeah.
Okay, any amendments, edits?
Sorry, I just lost.
Page 6,
Sorry about this.
okay, I'm going to call the
Sorry.
question.
Yeah. Um, okay, now I can
Okay,
bring
all in
it up in
favor?
the next portion. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, new business from Minutes Horizon? Nothing?
Yeah, I have a couple of matters
Okay.
arisen. On page 8, item 8, there's a comment here about we would further discuss the budgeted amount for conferences during the 2025 budget discussion. This is the conference other than the Lower Mainland Local Government Association conference. Question is, when are we going to do that? And can we put it on the unfinished business log or something that needs to be done?
Okay.
It's for the UBCM and so on.
UBC and so on, yeah.
Yeah.
And then just below that, just as an
You can
update,
add that, thank you.
just below that, just update the potable water treatment plant. The infrastructure committee at the last meeting looked at the email, the letter that was drafted. I've got a few minor changes. I've got those redlined. We'll bring them to the May 6th meeting. I'll do a report from the IC as well as one from the CAC, which is not what's mentioned here, but I'll have 2 reports for that meeting.
Okay, do you want to add that? Unfinished business? Okay. We'll move to the unfinished business action log, 9.1. Okay, we'll just highlight any particular items that councilors would like to pull out and discuss.
If I may, 326 is complete. It should have been stricken and not appeared on the log this evening.
Okay,
December 3rd.
yeah, Crystal.
Last meeting I explained, I leave some, it's up to council if you'd like me to change this. I leave it on for 1 meeting labeled complete so that you can see that
That's
it's
helpful.
complete. And then
Then it'll come off.
It'll
Okay.
come off.
Good.
Anything that shows is complete will come off.
All right, thanks for that. Okay,
Yeah, my only comment is 321. I keep asking if we're going to get progress on this. It's heading for a year overdue.
Grants and funding the rural community.
okay,
This is
CAO is not with us this evening. Carl, any
No,
comments on that?
don't have
No?
any input, sir.
Okay, we'll leave that on.
Can we just add to this that to follow up with our MLA because he offered support in regards to this? And
Yeah, I mentioned that at the last meeting to the CEO.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll add that. Any other items?
No,
Where is the motion? We had a motion regarding the review of, sorry, just a second. When we looked at the never mind, I'll come back to it in a second, okay.
All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is, let me just get, item number 10.1.1, emergency marine access study, and we'll pass it over to Mr. Burr for any comments.
10.1.
No,
No,
that's
we're in the minute.
minutes you're looking
We're looking at the minutes.
Sorry,
Schedule.
hang on,
Yeah,
thank you.
We are
I
on
thought we
10.1.
covered that, I
Yeah.
was gonna go that came back at us again,
yeah.
okay.
Sorry, that's what I'm
Hang
trying
on.
to pick up on. Sorry about this.
Okay, action log, we're moving to.
Page 2 of 109, 10.1.
10.1.1, and that is a 2025 budget for third reading, and Mr. Cherkoff, if you'd like to come up and can answer any questions.
Sure.
Thanks,
Apologies,
Carl.
I missed including the bridge and the updated version of the budget. Nothing's really changed other than from our previous discussion that the vegetation maintenance or increased budget be reduced. So to $60,000. So I'll just put this on table. That is the change there. So it's a
Sorry, Joe, can you repeat that?
Oh, so in our last meeting, the request was that the dangerous tree budget be reduced to $60,000. So the change on the bridge here is the reduction of that total budget down to an even $60,000. I think there's one small item, we received a grant from ICBC for road improvement for $4,800, but that's the only change. So I don't recall any other items for discussion on the budget. I believe everything's been reflected, and so I would recommend that the budget be read for a third reading.
Okay, before we do that, we'll call a motion that the 2025 budget be read for a third time. Do we have a mover for that?
So moved.
Second?
second,
All right, Councillor Cunliffe, second. Okay, discussion,
I've got a
Councillor Abbott.
technical question. Just realized the budget's not on the agenda. Can we read something we're not looking at? Doesn't it have to be here for us to read it?
Well, you can do a universal unanimous acceptance of the on-table item.
But that's not the budget.
It's a 5-year plan. That is officially the budget. The rest is detail. You're accepting the 5-year plan.
I would have thought it should have been attached, but okay.
Yeah, it could potentially, but if council is willing to unanimously accept the on-table item.
Move that we accept the, receive the on-table item.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay, Councillor Connell, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, back to the original motion, that the 2025 budget be read for a third time. Any comments? Oh, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, Councillor Abbott opposed, motion carried. Okay, we'll move to 10.1.2, development variance permit 20-02-335 Ocean View Road. That's on page 13. This is the development variance permit. Carl, I'm not sure if you're up to speed on that or
Yeah,
want
I
to
can
speak
give
to it.
you a slight brief.
Could I
Okay.
I'm sorry just to clarify before, at the last meeting, we made a motion regarding the Board of Variance, and I'm having trouble locating that motion. It's nothing to do with this particular item. Well, it was precipitated by this particular item. Is that in the minutes, or where would that motion be?
Would be in the minutes.
It should be in the minutes, but I can't.
If it was
see
last meeting.
Yeah, the minutes for the last meeting have not been released.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
Okay.
I can refer to them if you like, but they're in draft.
Okay, do you
They'll
have,
come forward on it.
Yeah.
could we, could I hear that motion? Is it possible to hear that motion? Sorry,
So we shouldn't be doing this when we get the minutes.
yeah, we should be.
Yeah, you'll see that in the next minutes in time for consideration, and then you can.
Okay.
debate it.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
next
Let's
week.
leave it till next time.
That was a test. Okay.
Could you actually?
All right, we're moving to page 13, and Carl Burr is going to walk us through the staff report on 335 Ocean View Road.
Okay, thank you. So as council knows, we have previously administered our short-term rental situation as a policy. The CAO in discussion with.
Sorry, 1 second.
I think you're on the.
Different items you're talking
Hold
about.
on, Carl, I think we're on the, this is the Ocean View property,
Beg your pardon.
Norm Farmier,
Beg your pardon. Sorry, I jumped again.
page 13.
So
And just to set it up a little bit for you, the options are that we approve the development variance permit. Option 2 is do not approve the development variance, and option 3 is refer the matter back to staff for specific direction. So it walks through the recommendations there if you want to touch on it.
Point of order, we approved it in the last meeting.
okay, so I can just, if I can
So
speak to that.
why is it on the agenda?
There was,
I
it was.
Councillor Abbott here. We did approve this.
It was prematurely on the agenda. It had not yet been public consulted. So the story now is that it's unchanged from what you saw before, but approved prematurely because it had not yet gone to public consultation. It has now met that hurdle. There's no need to rescind the previous approval. All you need to do is reapprove this one, which is unchanged from what you had before.
Okay, what was the public consultation part that was backfilled?
The neighbors had to be consulted.
Neighbors, okay. All right, so it sounds like this is a technicality. We
Kind of
approved it
ratified.
last time. I'll read the motion. The motion is that council approve the development variance permit number 25-02 to permit a reduction in the minimum requirement front yard setback from 7.5 meters to 5.8 meters for the construction of a 6.1 meter wide by 6.7 meter deep enclosed garage for a property located at 335 Ocean View, legally described as Lot 35, Block 8, DL 6748, Plan 13843. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll put forward that motion.
Okay, moved by Councillor Cunliffe, second by Councillor Abbott. All in favor?
Sorry,
Yes.
just one thing, just before we vote, sorry, I thought we were gonna get a chance to talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the neighbors were consulted. Do we have, there's no report that I can see here. Was there no objections? What is the report?
That I don't know. I was asked to, the development variance permit was put on the agenda prematurely, no need to rescind. And what was left out was the neighborhood consultation. I think you will need to take it as granted that there was not all the objections.
Should we take an action to send us a report on neighbours consultation? So that we know
Okay,
that we
that consultation doesn't seem to be included in the report.
it's not here at all, yeah.
Yeah.
So we just want to make sure that we, I'm not suggesting we need to go back and rescind anything at all. I'm just want to be able to backfill that a decision was based on solid information, right?
Okay, all in favor?
If I may,
Yeah.
I can say that the letter, I have a copy of the letter, the letters were disseminated to the neighbors.
Okay, and the
That at least
feedback
I-
was all positive.
That's my understanding, so.
Okay,
I
we-
can-
Okay.
Just send us the report.
Okay,
All in favor?
speaking to the motion
Yeah.
just for a second, this development permit or development variance precipitated the discussion about the Board of Variance and council at that time. My sense was council wanted to see a more robust process involving the Board of Variance at different times. Now, this is not directly related to this item, except that precipitated the discussion that we was brought up. So there was a motion as a result of that, which will come up in the next agenda when we're discussing that. But I just want to note that there are reportedly two different processes that a homeowner can undertake. One is to go to the Board of Variance and the other is to go through this process. And I think my sense is that but is a council in many cases supports the Board of Variance involvement in terms of involving, positive input from the community and positive use of some very experienced volunteers with high levels of expertise. So anyway, but I will raise this when it comes up in the minutes. But in terms of this particular application has gone the DVP route, and as such, I support that.
Okay, thanks for those comments. All in favor?
Yes,
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, with that, we'll move to bylaws and 12.1 zoning development bylaw 520. 2017 amendment bylaw 641. Okay, we'll pass it over to Carl.
Okay, thanks. So this is the one that I jumped the gun on slightly. This is an amendment to the existing zoning bylaw. It's essentially to regularize the regulations around short-term rentals, which were previously handled by policy. According to the Local Government Act, that is actually not legal. It needs to be in a zoning bylaw. And so it's essentially taking the same provisions that we had before in terms of setbacks, distance to schools, consultation, and putting them in as a new section in the existing zoning bylaw. The request is to give the amendment first and second reading. The reason for that is that between second and third reading, there has to be a public hearing. We're finding out whether that is in fact the case for a minor amendment. This is more procedural than substantive. There's also a potential that it has to go to the Ministry of Transport because we have a highway running, a provincial highway running through the community. Again, that may not be the case. CA will be finding out, but staff are requesting first and second reading of this amendment.
Okay, we'll go around the table. Councillor Bowden.
So is this exactly what is in the policy just being brought over, or is it other modifications or?
The intent is exactly the same. There was one issue with the policy which granted the CAO power that was not legal. That's been removed and I believe given to council for approval. But for the rest, my understanding is exactly the same.
Whereabouts is that? Just,
I believe that is 4.6.3. Where council gets to adjudicate, to decide on short-term rental. As you know, in Iron's short-term rentals are close to contentious and something that council needs to participate in deciding on. And so, and from what I understand from CAO, that's the case in any community. It's you cannot give the full power to decide on a short-term rental approval to the CAO. It's got to come to council.
So is there, you said that this was, is this just a repeat of what's already in the bylaw? And is there a black line version of the changes?
Yes, well, the black line version is in the new version of the zoning bylaw, yes. So you will see that it gets inserted after section 4.6B in the zoning bylaw, which in your package is
Page 33.
page 33. My limited understanding on this one was that the CAO does not have the authority to fully adjudicate a policy. But if the authority is delegated to him, as this bylaw does, he can do it by bylaw because he has the authority of council to do so.
So if I could just make a comment,
Councillor Cunliffe?
put a motion forward, I would prefer to see the CAO here to actually present this report. I'm not sure, this was a special meeting that was called that was urgent based upon the CAO, and he made himself unavailable as of this morning. This seems, I've received texts from residents who are very concerned about this, and he's not here to explain it for the public. And so I'm not comfortable in making any kind of decision, let alone first and second reading of something that our CAO is not here to explain to our residents tonight.
Councillor Abbott? Thank you, Councillor Cunliffe.
Yeah, I have a similar opinion to Jamie on this. So everyone's, I did a quick review of the original policy in this zoning bylaw. There are lots of changes. It's not the same. So and I remember at the time this was passed, I wasn't on council, but I remember that there was a significant amount of resident input into this. There was a lot of discussion with residents and ascertaining what people's concerns were. Things that are removed that are a major concern was the requirement the owner lives on site, and if he does not live on site, he has to have, and you'll remember this because you were council at the time, mayor at the time, Cole, that he has to have a
Local agent.
A local agent that can deal with something within an hour. That's been removed. The natural hazardous requirements have been removed. The $5 million insurance has been removed. The quiet time after 10 p.m. is now at the CAO's discretion, whereas before it was stipulated from 10 till 8, I recall. Previously, we had no signs were allowed. Now you're allowed to do signs. So these are all things that were kind of big deals at the time. I don't think this is a fulsome report. I think we need to spell out all those items that have been changed and why they're necessary.
Okay.
So I'm with Jamie on that. And then there's the other part about, regard to residential character of the neighborhood. I don't think that should be something the CEO makes a ruling on. To be honest, council that live within the resident, live within the community, that are in touch with the residents' feelings, they should be making decisions like that. The CEO can't ascertain whether it suits the residential character. I don't think he understands it. In fairness, he doesn't live here and he's been with us a very short time.
Okay, Councillor Brown.
Yeah, I would want to see my original question was, is this substantially the same? And if it's not, then I think we need to understand what the differences are. So I wouldn't be prepared to move forward with this at this point.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe for the director of operations, there's one clause in here about septics that says, community, unless it's connected to the community sewer system, which, 90% of the houses aren't, has a septic disposal system that is capable of handling the demand generated by the short-term rental. How could you ascertain that? Because half the residents still have their old 1970 septic systems
Legacy system.
that can't be measured at all. So are we saying they would have to upgrade their septic systems? We need to, there's stuff in here that needs to be seriously considered.
All right, I agree with all the comments. Do we need a motion to refer this back to staff? Specifically CAO?
Well, there's actually no report attached, so that's not one of the recommendations, but you have not yet moved first and second reading. You've just been discussing it, so you could instead move to refer back to staff.
I would refer back to staff.
Yeah.
Do we need to move that?
Yeah, you just move.
Okay, a mover, to refer back. Moved by Councillor Bowden, second by Councillor Abbott, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, can I ask for a 1-minute recess?
Yes, okay, we'll take a,
Sorry, can I just add something to the motion? Well, it's understood. If we refer this back to staff, then the
We
community,
have the notes on what's been.
the community participation part will then actually follow in the
This has
sequence.
to be consulted.
Yeah, it has to be consulted.
okay, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen that, if you don't mind. I was not absent.
Okay, time is 8:52. Welcome back. At a 5-minute recess, we'll move to item 12.2 on the agenda. Water rates and regulations bylaw number 2, 1971 amendment, 642, 2025. Mr. Kirkhoff, if you can walk us through this. The recommendation is that the water rates and regulations bylaw number 2, 1971 amendment bylaw 642, 2025 be read for the first time.
If I can, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, I think Mr. Chirkov will change that recommendation.
Okay.
If I
Mr.
may.
Kirkhoff, yes.
So we're running short of time. I would recommend that we do the first, second, and third readings such that we can adopt the bylaw at the next council meeting. So we can start billing for utilities. I'm not quite sure why it's directed to do the first reading only. There have been no changes throughout the entire budget process. Water, garbage, and sewer are all 5% increases as the budget since last November. And I've been receiving feedback as to change. Just as a context, we are basically operating at a breaking capacity with that rate increase. And that's where I leave it to council for a decision to move.
Okay, just to, I know we talked about this, the last bylaw. What significant changes, if any, are in this document from?
No changes other than the rate being increased by 5%.
So
Okay.
these rates that you see on page 64 of 109, those are the rates that reflect the budget that you have just given third reading to. They wouldn't change unless you wanted to change the water rates bylaw, which you wouldn't want to do because that would change the entire water budget. Same for sewer coming up. So these are the numbers that result. There's no need to read them three separate times.
Yes.
Because they would not change. And hence the recommendation. I asked the CAO why it had evolved that it was only one reading, and he said he didn't remember, and he thought that's what Joe had said. So he has no objection to 3 readings.
And if we were to read this 3 times, this is going to allow you at the next meeting to pass this and move forward.
Adopt next meeting, yeah.
Okay,
So moved.
moved,
Second.
seconded. Okay, second, Councillor Cunliffe.
I have one
Discussion.
question. May I just ask one question? And this,
Yes,
so schools is at the same rate as the cafe and marina. I mean, this is a deeper discussion. I feel that the school probably consumes more water than the, I don't know about the marina, but the cafe. Is it because of our zoning alone, or is there any way to the West Vancouver School District, who receives ample funding, to pony up a little bit more perhaps for the services we provide? An aside, but I'm in favor of the motion.
Chirkoff.
To the chair, these are the rates that have been established
For a long time.
forever. If
Understood.
there's a request.
I'm
Okay,
merely
Councilor Abbott,
forward thinking.
Yeah, and
thanks
just
for that, Councilor Thompson.
on Jamie's point there, when being the water meter, what about the commercial users and the school?
Well, at the
Then we
moment,
can-
we don't have a
Yeah.
volume rate proposed, it's
Yeah.
fixed rate alone. When we start gathering data through metering, and we'll be putting our ICI, Institutional Commercial Industrial Accounts on first, so we know how much water they're actually using, so we can answer that question of Council Cullis. We will be coming with recommendations on changes to the flat rate.
Yeah.
And potential changes to a dummy rate, which would be maybe 40% volume based, 60% flat based. So
But
the timing is good.
my question is, does the school get some sort of special consideration, given how much water they might use on a metered rate basis? Anyway, another discussion another time.
So we'll find that out over the next.
We will start
couple of
gathering
years.
data and then,
Based on data.
again, we don't really need to charge
Right
for
now,
volume, we need to
speculating.
charge for use of our infrastructure, which is somewhat of the same thing. But we will be able to answer that question this time next year.
I've got a question, and I've got a feeling I might have asked this before, in previous years. And I can't remember if this is a good answer or not. Why is the prompt payment discount different in every single one? It's different. The water's 2, the sewer's 2.5, and the other one's 3.5 or something. Why would we not have the same prompt payment discount?
Good, chair.
Yeah.
These rates have not changed from what was adopted by previous councils. What leads to a larger question as to whether we should have a prompt payment discount that we can take a poll, but generally it's not the case. But that being said, the reason why these number of rates are different is effectively it's always been done that way. And it's been approved in the past. So if you would like to recommend a different path through prompt payment discounts,
It's an administrative thing. I don't really care too much, but it just seems odd that it's 2% on water, 2.5% on sewer, and 3.5% on garbage for prompt payment. I mean, I guess maybe we paid for the garbage earlier because it gets smelly. I don't know.
If I may, I'd suggest that was probably what the interest rate was at the time that bylaw was promulgated.
We've all got a different
It's just a
times.
number of people had it in that.
Councilor
Yeah,
Brown.
well, the garbage rate is quite a bit less than the water rate. So in terms of.
Why is the
sort of
discount
percentage-
made?
To make the incentive a little
Well,
bigger, probably,
to make it a larger incentive.
Making it sound better than it's.
dollar wise.
Yeah. Otherwise, instead of $1.36, it's
All right, so the
$5.
motion, that the water rates and regulations bylaw number 2, 1971 amendment bylaw number 642, 2025 be read for the first, second, and third time. We have a motion for that?
Yeah,
Okay, seconded. All in favor?
yeah.
I-
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Sewer rates, we're on to 12.3 sewer rates. User bylaw, number 122, 1984 amendment bylaw number 643, page 81. The recommendation is that the sewer user rates bylaw 122, 1984 amendment 643 be read for the first time.
Move on.
if I may, through the chair, I recommend that we read the first, second, and third time.
Same methodology?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we have a motion to read it for the first, second, and third. Moved by Councilor Abbott, seconded by Councilor Broughton.
Yes,
Any comments, questions? No, all in favor?
Yes,
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 12.4 garbage recycling collection bylaw 455, 2013 amendment bylaw number 644, 2025. The recommendation is that the garbage and recycling collection bylaw 455, 2013 amendment 644, 2025 be read for the first time. Any input from Mr. Chirkoff?
If I may, through the chair, again, similar to the other ones, I would recommend that we read it the first, second, and third times.
Okay, do we have a motion to read for the first, second, and third? Yeah, okay, moved by Councilor Abbott, Councilor Broughton seconded. Comments, questions?
No.
No. All in favor?
I,
Yes.
Yeah.
Opposed, Motion carried. Okay, correspondence, we'll pass it over to Councillor Bowden.
Okay, just very briefly, there's a letter from an individual looking to have a trail runner race finish in Lions Bay. And I just have some concerns about that in terms of our parking challenges and so on, and drawing attention to the community. So as much as I support the concept, I think it could be problematic. I don't know what the dates are that you're suggesting, but I think we should just receive that for information at the moment.
Okay, any comments?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, why wouldn't we, I mean, if it became an annual event and
Imagine the
you could
parking.
get some name, Lions Bay slog or whatever it comes out to be. I'm not sure about the route, you might need to reconsider that, but it starts and finishes in Lions Bay, right? It's not, you said finishes, right? It starts and finishes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a circuit
Oh.
route.
Councillor Cunliffe?
I kind of share the same sentiments as Councillor Broughton. In theory, it sounds like a wonderful idea. Logistically,
Love it.
this year, too soon. I think that it is something to look into. I know that they do a downhill skateboarding event every year in Britannia Beach, but it's too soon. I think if we're going to look at something like this, we could welcome it, but we need to put some planning into it.
My feeling is, I love the idea. I believe that there could be some parking issues, but I think what I would recommend is why don't we just write the individual back and just express our concerns, but give them a chance to come forward with some ideas, and,
So
and,
bring
and
some
nothing's
solutions.
gonna happen this year, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Obviously, too tight.
If I may, I did have some correspondence with him because he wanted to know how to go about this process, and he did say he would submit it as correspondence for this meeting for your first review, and he's happy to come back as a delegation with a more informed presentation.
That sounds perfect.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
So I can, you.
But you
I
might
can
want
have
to give them
him
the heads up.
submit a delegation request, if that's.
he might even forward some information, some of his thoughts, just.
Yeah, you might give them the heads up
delegation
of the kind of concerns that we have and have had around parking and
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
in the watershed and stuff. So,
Yeah, correct.
Well, we don't need a resolution on that one.
No,
We can
no,
proceed with it.
No, if you could just give,
Okay.
if you
Anything
could
else,
give them that
Councillor
feedback, that's
Broughton?
good. The second item is around the municipality taking a position on trucking, and I just think there's so much work being done by the province and the national government on this. I don't think there's a role for Lions Bay on this particular one.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm off
I think
base
Metro's probably
on top of that. Yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Reach out to them, the
Okay,
highways.
so I leave that one at that point. Third one is the letter of support from Mr. Blackwell to Rebecca Montgomery in terms of the Two Sisters mural project. And so that's wonderful. Council made a motion and that letter's gone forward. She's been in touch with the Arts Council. Arts Council is agreed to make the application. And as I mentioned earlier this evening, with the washroom, the new washroom being provided as a, what was the term he used, that anyway, that there'd be an art on that building, hopefully in the
And-
future, we'll be able to add. Sorry?
A living canvas,
A
perhaps.
living canvas, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Anyway, that's something that we could probably look forward to in the future, so. Anyway, just to point out that the letter's there and how supportive council is of the concept.
Okay,
What about block walls don't start living in grey mold?
yeah.
I don't know what that is.
There's a nice camouflage of the doors though.
Sorry?
You skip
Well,
past it.
I think that by living, I mean that it's something that could be redone
Yeah,
You know,
I get it.
every several years. And I think the Arts Council, if given that mandate, would take that well underhand, and we would not be disappointed as a community.
The renewable canvas.
Okay, we'll move to new
Okay,
business.
sorry, in terms of the fire dispatch monthly report, just to draw attention to the fact that there's 13 incidents from March 1st to March 31st. 26 was the number of incident apparatus, 26, number of incident attendees, 72. And
I think
this is our monthly
what
report.
you could
Go
see the
ahead.
response time is around 6 minutes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Our fire department is doing an amazing job.
Two that stood out to me was the brush fire and the hydro pole fire.
Yeah, Yeah.
But,
no, thank
they're
you for
doing a fabulous
pointing this
job.
out. Yeah. No, it's doing an outstanding job, and it's just a recurring theme, and thank you for pointing that out.
Okay,
Thank you.
with that, any new business? No, okay, with that, we'll move to public participation in the
I have one
gallery.
question about Airbnbs. How long have they been allowed to be in Lions Bay previous to this recommendation? Or is
I
this-
believe they were, there's
Yeah, we have a
applications
policy.
that have been made in the
Yeah.
past and they have been allowed,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And also when you do an Airbnb, do you have to have an inspection of the place where people will be renting?
My understanding is that there does
Yeah.
need to be one,
Okay.
yeah.
Just wanted to see.
Sorry, if I may for the minutes, I don't know your name.
Oh, daydream.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
All right. Deidre, anything else?
No, that's it.
No?
Thanks.
Okay, we'll move to online. Anyone online like to comment?
No.
No? Okay, with that, we'll move to adjournment of meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Conlon seconded, Councillor Vogt moved. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you, everybody, this evening. Thank you, Carl, for sitting in. Appreciate it.
Thanks, President.